Zanne here, author of the sci-fi series of Chronicles of Deneb and your host of Chatting with AI. This week it is Rebels in Blue versus the Regime in Red as we dive into a timeless theme. Why does rebellion feel so good in space? From the Rebel Alliance to Paul Atreides, we are wired to root for the underdog. Well, let's kick off with ChatGPT as we ask the big question, why do we always cheer for the rebels in sci-fi? And are they always right?
Rebels are the beating heart of space operas, the Davids flinging plasma slingshots at Goliaths in gleaming star destroyers. From Luke Skywalker to Paul Atreides, we're drawn to the archetype of the outsider who rises up against impossible odds. Why? Because it taps into a deep, almost mythic belief that the small, the powerless, and the forgotten can still change the universe. But here's where it gets murky. Space opera rebels aren't always righteous. Take Paul Atreides. Sure, he overthrows a corrupt empire, but he also becomes a messianic figure who launches a holy war across the stars. And let's not forget, in the real world, one person's rebel is another's terrorist. The lines blur fast in sci-fi. The regime might be oppressive, but the rebels, sometimes they're reckless, violent, or fanatical. It is not always good versus evil, more like flawed idealism versus entrenched power. So do we always root for the rebels? Sure, but should we? That's the deeper question space operas dare to ask. Sometimes rebellion is noble, and sometimes it's just a different kind of tyranny in waiting.
That hits close to home. In my series, The Chronicles of Deneb, there is a rebel faction called the Black Hide. They rose up against systemic oppression of the Gaitan people, but over time their tactics became brutal. The Denebian Intertribal Union sees them as terrorists. Schools, hospitals, no target is sacred. So here is the question I want to ask you, chat. When does a rebel stop becoming a freedom fighter and start becoming the villain? Is there a line, or is it all just perspective?
Great question. The moment rebels abandon their values in pursuit of victory, they risk becoming the very thing they swore to fight. Morality in war is a minefield, and sci-fi, like the Chronicles of Deneb, reminds us that motives matter, but so do methods. Maybe the real test isn't why you fight, but how.
So are rebels always right, or are they just loud enough to win hearts and headlines? That is the question we will leave you with this week. Now, next week I'll be away, but stay tuned for something big. What happens when the rebels win? Can anyone rule a galaxy fairly? I am Zanne Raby, author of the Chronicles of Deneb, where rebels and regimes are rarely what they seem. Thanks for joining me and ChatGPT on Chatting with AI. Like, follow, and share if you laugh, learn, or just want your own empire amongst the stars. Till next time.